The most important message for us this week has to do with this Emperor card. This is a major arcana, so it's about how you are showing up in all the areas of our life. And one of the beautiful things about this Emperor card, it has a lot of Capricorn energy, structure and order and leadership. But this card reminds us that just being stoic and not in our emotions and unable to compromise is probably not going to be the best way for us, even though we might feel like that is the way it has to be. Boundaries are really important. Knowing who you are and what your values are and what you want to participate in and don't on like a core beliefs level is really important this week, but don't be so connected and stuck in the way it has to be for you that you're not willing to have a little fun. The rest of the cards this week really round out this energy and give us very specific instructions and guidance and heads up. Welcome to the weekly reading for August 14th through 21st. I'm Joy Giovanni, Joyful Medium. Let's keep going with the rest of these cards because I think you're going to understand why this is the crowning energy this week. But do remember that you're the leader in your own life. You have full permission to have your boundaries, to stand in your power, to lead from a place of organization and structure. But that's not the only part of you. Spirit is really reminding us this week that fun is also available. So there's a chance that this busy summer energy is rising again. We did a couple months ago in June and into the beginning of July see this card quite a bit. This is celebration. This is coming together. This is that card with the three figures on it making a cheers with their emotional cups. So it's connection. It's remembering to foster and nurture the emotional connection and the bond with those people closest in our lives. And don't discount the importance of friendship and fun and getting out there and mixing it up a little. You might be invited to some things that you weren't expecting. You might have already been invited, and part of you in this Emperor energy is resisting the uncertainty of these events. Go and have fun. But also, there's more to know here. The next card is really a doubling down in a different way of this Emperor card, whereas the Emperor is more about the core of you and working on yourself, developing, continuing to adjust yourself so that you're the most aligned with who you truly are and so that you really can experience the way you want. This King of Swords is a little reminder that, like, yeah, it's important to have a reason and it's important to have good communication that's not coming from a lit up, overly emotional place, to be grounded, to use our wisdom, to kind of preset some of those boundaries. So maybe if, let's hypothetically say there is a celebration that you're attending, a wedding, a party, a festival of some kind, you can pack yourself some little snacks in your bag. Make sure that you're having a timer of some kind that reminds you to get hydrated. Have boundaries around how long you're going to stay or giving yourself permission to check in and see if you need to leave. All of those things are wonderful ways to help yourself stay more neutral or light in the emotions, but still use your sense, your intelligence, your wisdom. There's also a chance that you might be serving someone in your life or your friend group as a bit of a mentor or a grounded energy, right? Maybe there's a lot of excitement happening and maybe you can be the one who's focused on the details and the communication, right? Because King of Swords is a powerful communicator, but really communicates things in a way that people can receive. Sometimes when we have something really important to communicate and we're not grounded and kind of thinking about the best way to communicate this information for the person we're communicating it to or the group, we can be really overly emotional in our words, in our heart, or even just our energy. And this King of Swords reminds you, like, hey, you don't need to get messy in your emotions. You don't need to get upset. You can be grounded. You can hold your boundaries. That's exactly who you are, and you have the power to do it. And also, as part of this, you might be a wise mentor or advisor for someone in your world. And just remember, not getting into the emotions with them, having an overarching perspective, order, organization, structure, stability is really what's going to carry us through this week. And I do feel like there might be just a little unexpected speed bump energy here with other people's emotions and the way other people are showing up. And this last card really gives us even more clarity on this. This is this Five of Swords. Fives often have to do with change or restructuring or shifts in things. And this card is no different. And swords often have to do with our intellect, our mental energy, our communication. And in this card, there are two figures that are kind of moving away. They've dropped their swords. There's one figure at the forefront of the card that is holding their sword and a couple other swords, and there are a couple other swords at the ground by their feet for them to pick up. This is the energy of like you want to argue or debate and someone else doesn't, or vice versa. So just holding a lot of compassion this week and knowing that if people are stepping away, or if you are wanting to step away from a conflict conversation, for example, that's okay this week. It doesn't even necessarily mean that it has to be a permanent stepping away. It could be kind of like a timeout, pause. Let's pause this conversation. Let's enjoy the festivities and come back to this another time, or table it completely, right? So just know that if there are people stepping away or not wanting to participate in the same way, or not willing to argue or debate, or it could be people hanging on so tightly to what they want to communicate or the way that they want to settle into their opinion about something, right? We all, I'm sure, have met people and even been people who hold so tightly to an opinion or a perspective that they're not even able to have a conversation about it. So in your wisdom as this King of Swords, just know like what's your fight and what's not your fight, what's your debate and what's not your debate. And one day you might feel like debating a topic, and the next day you might feel like, I don't want to engage in this today. And that's okay. But it's doing it from a wise, grounded, kind of calm, neutral place. Because at the end of the day, whether people are stepping in or stepping out, or you're stepping away, really we want to focus on this celebration instead of this little bit of conflict that's also available, and essentially be the bigger person here. You're an evolved soul. Remember this emperor energy: structure, order, organization, knowing your boundaries, knowing what's good for you, knowing the direction that your life is going and the direction that your life's no longer going. Essentially, like, choose the high road here this week, but don't be so rigid in that feeling that you're not willing to have compassion and heartfelt conversations and sentiment for others. So let me know how this is showing up for you. For some, this could be related to their job, their industry. For others, this could be about relationships and connection in your lives. It could be any area of your life that this is showing up, but this Emperor energy really is inviting us to remember our boundaries and what works for us. And as we are in the middle of August, with some going back to school, maybe there's a reassessment for some of us of like, what are our boundaries now? What's working for us? What structures and systems do we have in place that are working or not working? So up for reevaluation this week as we move through the energy. I hope that you will give this a like or a thumbs up or a heart wherever you're watching this. That really helps the podcast. And remember, a new episode of Spirit Speakeasy every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts, or on my website, joyfulmedium.com, in the blog section. And if you'd like to work with me in a one-on-one reading capacity, you can also find that on my website, joyfulmedium.com. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead with this energy. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now.